All right, good morning. It's good to see you all again. Yesterday was wild, right? Anyone's classes affected yesterday?
Yeah.
That was, they've never done that before. I think our college has a tendency to overreact to things. Like everybody else was open and we waited like a whole nother year with COVID and everything. Like, so it didn't surprise me, but that was a pretty crazy day yesterday. So it feels nice to be like back to normal again, normal today, whatever that means. We'll talk about that actually today, the idea of normal. All right, I want to do a couple of things before we get into this. First, I want to see, are there any lingering questions, anything about the syllabus, anything from last time, anything you're still confused about or questions about at all? How many of you were able to get a copy of the book, or at least order it? I think it's on its way. A bunch of you, that's great. And again, I think I looked again yesterday in the old edition, I saw it for $13 online that you could buy it. So if money is tight, remember that you can get that old one. But since you don't have any questions for me, I always like to ask questions of you on the second day. And I think it gives us a fun opportunity to do a Kahoot. So if you downloaded the Kahoot app, that's fantastic. If you didn't, you can always log in. If you don't have a phone or a piece of technology, feel free to maybe share with a neighbor if they're willing to share with you. That would be great. But what I'm going to do here is bring this up, and we'll put the music on because that's the best part of Kahoot, right? The very best. My daughter's like, no, you don't do Kahoot anymore. Is it Blue-Kit or something like that? Oh, yeah. Yeah, she makes these totally random ones that make no sense, but it's fun anyway. So I'll put this up. If you have the app, that makes it easier. If not, you can go to the website up there. There's the code, and it'll ask you perfect for a name. So I'll give you a few minutes to join. Again, if you don't have access to this, feel free to join with a neighbor. I like the addition of the little like faces. It's nice since last semester. That's fun. No, I want to join. All right, 831. Ooh, the football one. It's like the most entertaining part right here. We'll just watch. All right. You get to choose the face, or does it choose it for you? Yeah. Oh, that's so fun. I did this for my kids yesterday. They're like, this is boring. You guys are so mean. They're mean. They'll tell you the truth, whether you want to hear it or not. I know, brutally honest, always, whether you want it or not, right? They told me I should ask you questions about food instead. All right. All right. Oh wait, just another minute, and then we'll start it. Okay. Let's see. We're just starting this. Here's the pin here for you, Julie. All right, right, so we'll start here in a second. If you get kicked out, I wrote the pin up here. But what will happen is I have, I think, a handful of questions for you about the syllabus, things that we talked about last time. You are welcome to use your syllabus as a resource, or you can just try and remember what you can. You're awarded points for speed and accuracy. So you want to be accurate, but you also want to be fast. So kind of a balance of the two. I brought candy again. I'm all holding it tightly, right? I brought candy again. If you win a round or you're one of the 3 winners at the end, you'll have to come see me for candy at the end of class today. But just a quick review. I think it's more fun than just me reminding you. So everybody ready? In, ready to go? Again, if you get kicked out, here is the pin. So you'll be presented with 4 options for every question, and you'll answer as quickly and accurately as you can. All right. Here we go. And again, these are all things related to stuff we talked about last time. All right, here we go. Okay, quick review. We're going to start really easy. What is the name of this class? Excellent. Nice job. Great. Abnormal psychology, right? I was an academic counselor for years. You would be surprised how many times people were like, I have no idea what class I'm in or who teaches it or where it is. Don't let that ever be you. Always know where you are, right? Abnormal psychology, very nice. So let's see where's Jess, right? Yes. All right. We have a winner for now, right? For now. I'm so competitive. I'm like, take her down. Not really. Okay, here we go. Next question. What is the best way to get a hold of me, to contact me? All right, most of you got it. Perfect. Email, right? Always better to email me. I check it all the time. Pretty good at keeping up with it, not so much with my phone. Come on in. All right, let's see where we're at. Ooh, I almost said you were still in lead. Jenna, where's Jenna? Nice, new leader. Okay, yeah. What was that? Okay, got it. Okay. All right, yeah, no worries. Okay, next question. I have how many kids in total? Did you say 801? All right, yeah. So if we were just counting regular children, two-legged children, that sounds better than regular children. It would have been 8, right? Totally not important, but why not ask you? Okay, let's see who. Luis, where's Luis? New leader, I like it. All right, that's okay. That's okay, you got this. You're close. Okay, here we go. Next question. What is the name of the required or heavily recommended textbook? If I ever wrote a textbook, call it abnormality in you. Right? They should. All right, perfect, right? Fundamentals of Abnormal Psych. A lot of you ordered it or hopefully have it coming, which is fantastic. Again, you don't have to buy it, but in my experience, people who are reading and have the book do quite a bit better, right? So if you can, try and get on that, try and order that. Hopefully, we have Monday off, so hopefully by Wednesday you have that book. Let's see. Oh, still in the lead. I like it. 2 rounds, 2 candies. Okay, next question. True or false? You should come to class even if you weren't. That happens. Excellent. False, right? If you're not feeling well, stay home, right? I know that isn't convenient, but it's definitely important. Ooh, 3 rounds. Okay, take them down for sure at this point. Okay, next question. Couple more. Our exams will be taken. Oh, sorry. I wander, I get excited. Great, most of you got it on Canvas, right? So remember when we go to take our exams, they won't be in person, they'll be on Canvas, which I think benefits you quite a bit. Still in the lead. Look at you. You have a good margin too. Okay. Next one. If you miss an exam, which of the following is true about making it up?
Oops, I put that wrong.
Okay, a little more split, but I know it's tough and you don't have the words in your screen, so that makes it hard. So this is the right one, right? Once an exam deadline. Ready? I love that you're so competitive too. I like it. So once the exam deadline passes, you can no longer make it up, right? So you'll have the whole entire day. Ready? Just so I don't have to yell at you. You'll have the whole entire day to take the exam when it's time. But if you miss that day, you can't make it up unless you contacted me ahead of time, right? So really important again to be communicating with me if you're gonna miss something. Ooh, new leader, Naomi, right? All right, new leader. Oh, you fell completely off the list on that one. Uh-oh. All right. Couple more. Attendance and participation are graded by.
The answer I wanted.
Pop quizzes. Okay, great. Most of you got it. 10 random 10-point activities. Remember that the index card is the first one. These will happen throughout the semester, right? So try and be here as much as you can. Cooper, where's Cooper? Nice, new leader. Okay. If you miss a participation exercise homework assignment, it can be submitted. Perfect. Most of you got it. Okay, by email before the end of the class session in which it was due. So if I give you a homework assignment and it's due on Wednesday and you missed that day, you could still email it to me on that Wednesday before the end of our class session. So you can still get those points. See, Emily, nice, very nice. Okay, there's just a couple more. In this class, you will write how many papers divided into how many parts. Excellent. One paper, 3 parts, right? So we'll talk about that more soon. But one paper divided into 3 parts. Start thinking about your character. Right? You have some time to think about it. See, Emily, still in the lead. Okay, next one. Most important, who's my favorite football player? Little test to see if you even know who football players are. Excellent. Totally not important, but I had to put it in there anyway, right? Okay, let's see.
Someone choose.
Podium at the end. So those were the big questions. Let's see. 3rd place, Nikki. Where's Nikki? Very nice. 3rd place. 2nd place, Naomi. 1st place. Like the suspense is painful. Emily, very nice. Right. So if you won, what's so happy? If you won any of the rounds or if you're one of these 3, make sure you come up to me at the end and get some candy. They look so happy. I hate to close it, right? But okay. So we'll close that for now. But those are just some important things that I would really like you to remember, right? So hold on to the syllabus. If you ever need to know what we're covering or how to get a hold of me, it's all on there. Anything else before we leave it behind? Any other questions, things you're confused? Anything else about the syllabus? Okay. So what we'll do here in a minute is we're going to start chapter 1. Very exciting. But before we get into that, I just want to talk just for a minute about taking notes and a couple of other things. So we're creatures of habit as people. A lot of have sat in the same spots, I think, or kind of close to. I'm still kind of getting you all down here, right? But what I want you to do is to take a couple of minutes, find a couple of people around you and exchange an email, a phone number, an ID on social media, whatever you're comfortable exchanging. If you miss a class, you can always reach out to me, but your classmates are probably your best resource. You could get notes from them. You could find out if there was a homework assignment. So I want to give you a couple of minutes, find some people around you, exchange a piece of information, whatever you're comfortable sharing. That way you have someone to reach out to should you miss a class. So I'll give you a couple of minutes to do that. And I'm going to write a phone number up here for you to put down too. Yeah. Yeah. The PowerPoints? Yeah, they're all up there. They're all. That way, Great to see you. I wonder if it's because of kids. All right, everybody get a couple of. Okay, you can always find that you're sick. Find that you're sitting next to people and you didn't get their information, you can always add another number later. But this is a great person or people to reach out to if you miss. Again, you can share notes if that's helpful, or ask if there's a homework assignment. You can always email me anything, that's totally fine. But your classmates are a good resource to have. So it's nice now you have a few things, hopefully. I also want to give you this number. Hopefully we never need it, right? This is the campus security number, should you ever need it for anything. If something happens to me, right, somebody call the number. I'll just pass out and just leave you. I don't know. But this is a good number to have if something happens on campus. That's the number we're supposed to call because they can route things to 911 appropriately. So just want to make sure you have that number. The last thing before we get into this, remember that the slides are posted on Canvas. Okay, so as we go through the lecture today, you don't necessarily need to write down what's in the PowerPoint slides because it's on Canvas for you. Okay, so if you find that it's a little fast, remember that these are available to you online. What you want to write down is anything else. So if I write something on the board, write that down, right? If I bring something up or examples that are helpful for you, maybe write those with your notes, right? What a lot of people have done, and I brought this as an example, is people will sometimes print the slides out in like a 3-slide format like this, and then write notes right here. It's totally up to you. You can do whatever works for you, but I've seen a lot of people do this, and I think it works out pretty well. Or you can just remember that you don't need to write that stuff down because it is online. So, and I also am recording this. So if you find that you need to go back, you can always, the quality on the recording from Monday was awful. And I think it's because of the rain. The sound went in and out. Hopefully it's better today. Again, the Wi-Fi in this building is so, but I do record these so you can always go back and look at it later if you need to, okay? All right. Anything else before we get into here? I'm feeling okay, ready to go. So exciting. It's the first slide of the semester, right? I get sad at the end, but this is exciting. It's the beginning. So what we'll talk about in chapter 1 is we'll look a little bit what is normal and what is abnormal. And that's what we'll focus on today. That'll take us a little bit. Why does she keep doing that? Oh, it's about football, right? She's like, I'll tell you what's normal. And we'll talk a little bit about how we viewed abnormality in the past and how we treated things in the past. Very shameful. There's a lot of kind of cruel and dangerous and odd things that we've done throughout time. Some current trends, some jobs and what researchers do in the field. So kind of setting the stage. That's what we'll do for a few weeks. We'll talk about how we viewed abnormality, the different models of abnormality, how we do assessment. And then the rest of the semester will be about the disorders. So setting the stage for a little bit, and then we'll get into the disorders themselves. So this whole class is abnormal psychology. And we're going to talk a lot about what is abnormal today, because that is actually a big question. It's not an easy answer. But abnormal psychology is the scientific study of abnormal behavior in an effort to describe, predict, explain, and change abnormal patterns of functioning. So what we're going to look at in this class is what is normal versus abnormal. How do we define that? Right? What are all the different disorders? How do we diagnose them? How do we treat them? And kind of looking at different models to explain them along the way. In my opinion, a very fun class. I love all the fun topics that we get to cover in here. But this is kind of the scope of what we're going to look at. And today, as I mentioned, we're going to spend a lot of time talking about how do we define normal versus abnormal? Because that's a very difficult thing to do. What's normal to me might not be normal to you. What's normal today maybe wasn't normal 2 years ago or 2 years from now. We're in different parts of the world. This is a very fluid idea, and that's what we'll spend some time looking at. And I think one of the easiest ways to get like a pulse on what we think of mental illness is to watch somebody pretend to be mentally ill. I think that gives us a good idea or a good metric of what we tend to think of mental illness. So I have a little clip for you of somebody pretending to be mentally ill. Let me pause this. Couple takes, right? But I think watching somebody pretend to have a mental illness, again, it kind of gives us that good idea of what we tend to think of people who are mentally ill. What are some of the things that he does to portray that he is mentally ill? What are some of the things that he does in that clip? Yeah.
Talks funny.
Yeah, he talks strange, right? Yeah. Kind of nonsense and gibberish. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Definitely mentally ill. Yeah.
Super noticeably wears a tutus, underwear. I mean,
Yeah, right. His clothing, bizarre, right? His hair too, but that's just him, I suppose, right? But what else? Anything else that he does that's odd? Yeah.
like super exaggerated movements.
Yeah, for sure. Like, anything else we want to add? Yeah.
His facial expression.
Mm-hmm. Anybody else? Yeah.
The one from personal space.
Yeah, he's definitely.
Terms of
Yeah, he's right there, right up in their face, and against him like that. His obsession with the game, right? He's not in the current space, right? In the current time. All of those things, he's trying to portray mental illness, right? And again, I think that gives us a good idea of what we tend to think. It's not that obvious though, but I'm sure a lot of you know somebody with a mental illness. A lot of the time you can't tell. Sometimes it's very obvious, but a lot of the time it's very, very subtle as well. And so what we'll talk about, we have these guidelines that we sometimes use. We call them the 5 Ds of abnormality. Now your textbook has 4 Ds. I added a 5th one, so we'll call it the 5 Ds of abnormality. And these aren't diagnostic in the sense that you're not going to see these as criteria, but they're kind of a general guideline that we follow. If somebody has these 5 Ds, then we might start to look at, do they maybe have a mental illness? And you don't always have to have them. They're more, again, of a guideline. So 5 Ds, the first one is deviance. And as a side note, I love questions like this as short answers on exams. What are the 5 Ds of abnormality? Would be a great short answer question. So you could star it, circle it, tattoo it, whatever you want to do to remember it, right? But deviance is the first one. When people are very different from kind of our ideas about normal functioning, right? And again, normal is super subjective, but our culture has norms for everything. Stated or sometimes even unstated rules for proper conduct. Every single one of you, super easy example, every single one of you right now is wearing clothing. You knew that you had to wear clothes to come to school today, right? It's a norm. If you came here with no clothes or dressed really bizarrely, people would stare at you. People would notice very quickly. Another one, you're all seated in your desk facing forward. Can you imagine if one of you just stood in the back corner and stared at the wall? I would be so distracted. I don't know if I could continue, right? Everybody would pay attention to it. Elevators are great for this, by the way, right? There's codes of conduct. There's norms. When you get in an elevator, right, you're supposed to get in, you push the button, and then you stare forward and you're quiet. I like to break that a little bit just for fun. And I've taught my kids this, and it's probably not good because now they do it. But we get into an elevator, we push the button, and then we all turn around. And the funniest thing is because there's 5 of us in our family, my partner doesn't usually turn around, but the 4 of us do, which I think is funny. And so because we turn around, if we're the majority in the elevator, sometimes other people will turn around. And that's just so entertaining to me because we've created a new norm, right? And you're not supposed to talk in an elevator. I like to talk, so I talk in an elevator. But there are norms for things. If you break them, people notice. You stand out, and we might wonder what's going on, right? So every culture has different norms. We'll have a culture in this class of what's normal, right? There's a culture in Moore Park. There's a culture in Simi Valley, California, right? There's a culture for every time, for every place. Families have a culture, right? So sometimes the norms are different from place to place or time to time. So we have to be mindful of that. But in general, when people break norms, when they're deviant or different, we tend to notice. And it may or may not be a marker of something bigger or deeper going on. The next D is distress. Disorders cause people discomfort, right? When you experience a mental illness, it causes you significant distress, right? Disorders cause distress, right? And that's a very common element to every single disorder. Dysfunction is the other one. Next one. Disorders interfere with your daily functioning. You have so much anxiety that it's hard for you to go to class, right? Maybe you are so hungover because you drank so much last night that you're late for work, right? They interfere with your ability to carry on like normal, right? Whether it's anxiety or depression or substance abuse, it affects your daily functioning in some way. They also often cause some level of danger. It might be danger to yourself or danger to other people. There are disorders where people are violent and aggressive toward others, disorders where people harm themselves in some way, right? So there's often a level of danger, not always, but it can place you or others at risk in some way. And then finally, this is the one I added, duration. With mental illnesses, it lasts longer than what we would consider typical. Now, again, very subjective, but there's usually kind of like a rough frame of time that we would say is appropriate for a certain response, or maybe typical of somebody to experience. If it lasts quite a bit longer than that, then we might be looking at a mental illness, right? And so duration is a big piece. Most disorders have a period of time that people have to have these symptoms for in order to be diagnosed. So again, these aren't necessarily criteria for a disorder. They're more of like a rough guideline. If people have these 5 Ds, we might start to think that maybe they have a mental illness. And then we would look at the criteria and the symptoms and the disorders to try and figure out which one. So I have a little clip for you that I want to play. I don't know if any of you have seen either of these two folks up here. Lizard Man and Stalking Cat. Those are their given names for themselves, not no ones I came up with. But I want to play you a clip of Stalking Cat. And just as I play this clip for you, be thinking in your mind, do you think he has a disorder or not? Right? And there isn't necessarily a right or wrong answer, right? I don't know the answer to this question, but I think it's an interesting thing to think about. So let me play a quick clip of him for you. And he walked by you, you would probably do a double take, but is that enough to say that we think he has a disorder or not? Okay, so what I want you to do, I have one more Kahoot for today. I'm going to have you log into and then stay logged into it after him because we're going to come back to it. So let me bring this up for you here. Okay. Start. So if you could log into this, and I'll write the code up here. So many buttons to push. And then we're going to vote. Does he have a disorder? Everybody joined so quickly this time. I like it. So this is going to be a simple has a disorder or doesn't have a disorder vote. And I have to tell you, as someone who's a Gemini, I hate forced choices like that. So make your best guess, right? Do you think you lean toward he has a disorder or you lean toward he doesn't have one? And then we could talk about it a little bit afterward, but let's see where everyone falls. Another few seconds here. It's like kind of stalled. Everybody good? Okay. So again, simple vote, yes or no. Disorder, no disorder. Okay. Which is not overwhelming, but like we have kind of a clear, most of you tend to lean toward yes. And then 12 of you, a good number, said no. Thoughts, why do you think yes or no? Why did you vote the way that you did? Yeah.
Well, I actually was like wrong one, but
No
I
worries.
or does not have symptoms.
Okay.
There's the lack of distress and dysfunction. So, like,
Yeah, the fact that he doesn't seem stressed by it and doesn't seem to be affecting him. Okay, great. Yeah.
When he did his explanation, he said it gets me closer to where I want to be.
Yeah.
So for him, it's not causing him problems.
Okay. Yeah, I like that.
Around everybody else, it may seem abnormal, but for him and what he's trying to achieve, it doesn't affect him.
Great. Love it. Right. Yeah.
Well, I definitely agree that it isn't causing any distress. I feel like something that wasn't covered in that is that no doubt it does lead to some dysfunction. Human teeth, mouth, and ears are how they are because that's what's most effective for how we live our lives.
Right.
And so there's probably, at least to some degree, some slight dysfunction that he decides to step.
Yeah, that seems logical, right? That would interfere in some way. I see that. Yeah, I'll go back there and then yeah.
I feel like this, I was kind of in the middle of
Sure.
this, but I feel like he's using this association with escapism.
Okay.
Well, specific, and he said that the symptoms of our stuff because the system will come and that's why
Okay. So you lean toward yes, like given all that. Okay. Yeah, I think here that we're good.
so I have an issue with
Yeah.
that's in my mind, like
If you disregard his look, he could function in society perfectly normally, which doesn't leave anything in psychological distress. But the obsession with body modification and
Yeah.
doing something that is completely different than what he actually is.
Yeah, and we'll talk about it later, there's a disorder called body dysmorphic disorder, where we'll tend to do multiple surgeries and are obsessed with changing the way that they look. And so if there was one, I think that would fit in pretty well. There's definitely an obsession, right? I'm sure you spent an incredible amount of money to do all these procedures and it's repeatedly doing that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's how I was gonna go along the lines of that. They also mentioned that, that this is a bit into the negative culture, so it's like, he has a little bit of a reason. And I see how it's like obsessive and it's like abnormal from our norms.
Yeah.
From society. So most definitely, but it's also, it could also cause harm, but at the same time, it's benefiting.
Sure, okay. So which one did you vote?
I don't know.
You voted no,
Yeah.
okay. Okay, there's a couple hands over here, I'll go back there and then here.
I'm more to those.
Okay,
Mainly because, I don't know what her name is. So she mentioned how like it was a lot of money in procedures.
Yeah.
In a way, it could be painful to do some of that stuff, because
Sure.
it's abnormal. He mentioned that he had to move up his lip for his palate. I have a friend who was born with one, and I know how much she does not like it.
yeah,
And the fact that he does, it's a lot of pain to fix it. I don't want to know what the pain is to go through it. So maybe he is addicted to the pain that way.
okay, interesting, that's interesting to think about, right, and we don't know, yeah.
That, like, I mean, OCD is obviously like some kind of disorder, like the obsession order of it. But I think that could also go with like an Asperger's kind of thing, because like over obsession with something.
Okay,
So it could be like along the lines of that. But I also think that with like mental illnesses and mental disorders, not only does the disorder make you uncomfortable, but being yourself makes you uncomfortable.
sure,
So the fact that he wants to completely change the way he looks and the way he's acting, like the way he feels about himself, could mean that he is in discomfort with the way that he feels in his own body.
yeah, I mean, it's a great point, right, yeah, I'll go all the way back and then I'll come up to you, yeah.
Really distressed because he's comfortable with the way he is now, but he probably was originally, because it wasn't comfortable with the way he was, and that's why he's doing this. So I think this is causing some stress.
Okay, yeah, and I'm hearing like maybe something underlying is driving all this, right, did you have a thought as well?
I think him have a problem
Okay.
because they feel like a feel, but they don't live.
Okay,
So how do you feel like something, but you don't live it?
yeah, that makes sense, right, I can see that, right, and we don't know the answer, which is what makes it tricky, yeah, last thought, yeah. Okay,
Because he is so obsessed with the thought of being a cat that he would put himself in danger by going under these surgeries. And he said he wanted to get like ears
mm-hmm,
and to, go into the dentist and get his teeth removed. and
Yeah.
his tattoos around the sides. It's like, seems very so he's putting himself in danger by doing that because
Sure.
he's so obsessed with the idea of being.
okay, yeah, you couldn't pay me to go to the dentist to have that done, I mean, I don't like the dentist. I don't like the dentist, period, but like to do something like that, to have all your teeth pulled, like just thinking about that is incredibly uncomfortable. But there's a lot of parallels to tattoos and piercings. A lot of people go through tattoos and piercings, which are, you could say are painful and you could say are expensive, right? There's a lot of parallels to people who maybe change their sex at some point to match the way that they think that they should be. There's a lot of interesting thoughts here. What if I give you one additional piece of information more? Would it change your vote at all if you knew that he committed suicide?
Yep.
Yeah, definitely, right? Why? Why would it, why was a big yeah, yeah.
Because I've had like numerous buddies commit suicide and they were all super fucked up. So, yeah.
Okay, so for you, that would be a big yes, right? Yeah, okay. Yeah, well, I mean, I think to reframe it a little bit, right, in order to take your life, there has to be an incredible amount of suffering going on, right? Yeah,
I
yeah.
think too, with like mental illness and like psychological disorders, it's definitely a spectrum. Like you go
Sure.
like through like waves of like periods or whatever. So I feel like maybe like there definitely was something underlying. I voted no, but my vote definitely changed after he said that
Yeah,
he committed suicide. But I don't know, it's a very like back and forth. Yeah.
sure, right, and it's hard to pick, right? It's hard to choose one, yeah. Okay,
Because I know a couple people who have these kind of problems, I don't know, maybe not problems, but where they feel like they're not themselves
sure.
and they want to be more comfortable. So they'll do everything in their hands to be comfortable.
Yeah,
But in my point of view, in life and in general, we will never be 100% comfortable because somebody else is not saying.
okay.
So I could be 100% comfortable right now, but you cannot be at all.
Hmm.
We are all different, so maybe he just couldn't reach that comfortability that he was looking for,
Yeah,
and maybe that's what it is. Or he knew he was disappointing his family, friends, or other people didn't like her.
yeah.
And look how many views that video has.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, if he was still alive today and saw that, he would probably be like, oh my God, look at all these comments. Comments get to everybody, no matter
Sure.
what.
Yeah.
I know it gets to me, that's why I don't comment or post anything,
Hmm.
because I want to avoid that. So maybe he was uncomfortable with seeing so much, and once he realized how much that was his body, he regrets it.
Yeah,
Can't go back, because
And-
that's a lot of stuff you can't go back.
sure.
Especially tattoos on the face. Tattoos are already permanent enough, you can't remove them.
Mhm. Right, but you still see him a little bit, right? Yeah, and it's hard because we don't know why he committed suicide, right? He didn't really leave a reason or a note, and so it could be that this was an underlying thing, or it could be that all of this led to it. We don't know. Yeah,
So this is purely speculative.
Sure.
But I could definitely see it being the case that with all of the sordid surgeries he underwent, you mentioned that they were cutting edge, I
Yeah.
suppose, and so they all had some risk associated with them.
sure.
Of it going poorly and leading to permanent injury. And
Yeah.
I feel like that could be associated with risk-taking behavior
Yeah.
that tends to eventually lead to self-harm, suicide.
Yeah, I love it. Great point. Yeah.
And the other thing is, he looked so crazy to me, but he still wanted more. And
Yeah.
wanted more, and the distress of not. I feel even if he got the ears and got the fur.
Would it be enough?
Would be enough, because he's never gonna be on all fours.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
I think the distress of like never reaching his end goal
Mhm.
is distress.
Yeah, and it's tough. Again, we don't know, right? So all of this is speculation in a sense. And I think he's kind of an extreme example. But what I want to do, I have 4 other little scenarios that I want you to look at. So stay logged into that Kahoot, or I'll leave the code up here for you. Get logged out. But what I want you to do is to get into groups of like, let's say 3 or 4 people, right? You're not turning this in. Send one person up to grab one. I have extras, so if you each want your own, I should have plenty if you want one, or if you want a couple of copies. But what I want you to do as a group is read through these 4 scenarios and decide, do they have a disorder or not? And again, forced choice, sorry, that's frustrating sometimes, but try and decide, do you lean toward they have a disorder or not? And then we'll vote on it in a few minutes. So again, stay logged in here, but get into groups, 3 or 4, just whatever's in here around you, and then send one person up to grab one and just talk about it and work on it as a group. Okay?
Get all on.
And again, I have extras if you would like a copy.
Do you want to be recorded?
Yeah, they're put together. Don't worry about which disorder. Extra copy, I have a bunch.
Yeah, do you want to see?
Getting in place. They fell these all together after that, but I can't find. They were not from the job for a period of time. Do not bring ill fortune, giving out not man is by breaking of the field, whatever it is. And however, the evening, I will not know about it. There'll be a better been a relationship. You never see it. You find the interaction on. People tell you that what actually first. Direct, talking, right, they didn't want to do direct thing on the way. I want to be, because that was
Seem like they, like, putting people's like their situation, self and other people as well.
Clearly, a house. Barbara, the jet, was jet, and happy childhood. She made very good grades in high school. You're really down. At first, you don't get that picture. I mean, when you're on attention, I don't think that the, period. Pressure. I was totally accepted.
So this workout, for pre-menstrual dysphoria, which is like literally that, all that stuff. That like it causes that.
Definitely, I have no doubt. I know that those. So I think that it's, you know, and it should be like fun. Well, I'm lots more time. Which is like one quarter. I'll be out now. He's not. Quite actually, well, I think that's a big one, but we're over the race. Once you go, you're not the children. Well, she has married. And died. Yeah, the thing. And began, we want to find yeah, eventually very very sad. But no, that's
I feel like nobody said that she writes herself like. And then like, these things, and I think that's definitely. Like putting herself in, she's harming nature. Traumatic situation, like. That it could be like,
like depression or something, where it's like something that comes with like curiosity and worry. And this, of course, a situation like this, you know, triggered it, I guess.
Yeah, you could put like an arrow, that would be, that'd be. Or I'm the one on the left or whatever.
Little question. So I know the flashcard was dated.
Yeah,
I am currently living at my friend's house for the week. I do not have a working printer.
okay.
Can I print it at my my other professor's class after
Yeah,
this and bring it to you?
and even if you just bring it to him, say, that's fine. Next week. I won't.
I hate turning it over.
No, it's okay. And then it's tricky, we just started, so for this one. I'll accept it on Thursday. I give you a little.
We have another class.
I do, you could always also pin it to my office board downstairs, just like flip it backward and pin it, and then I'll get it too, that's fine. Either one's fine.
I have it, everything filled. I just need that picture.
Yeah, no worries, I'd rather have the picture, that would be helpful.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, so. Make sure. So the pin is right here if you need to get logged back in, but let's go through these 4 people. And honestly, in my opinion, there's one of these 4 that is kind of a little more obvious than the rest. Otherwise, I think you could make a case either way. So let's vote on Andrew. So again, same thing. Red has a disorder, blue does not have a disorder. And try and pick one. I know that's not always the easiest, but is everyone still logged in, ready to go? What was that?
It says I'm paused.
I think if you just hit that, it'll, did that work? No? Here, I'll activate it. Maybe that's why. Okay, so number 2, Andrew. Has a disorder, doesn't have a disorder. Did that fix it? Oh, music. All right. So I wonder what we think on Andrew. My opinion. Red flag that makes Andrew, in my opinion, have a disorder. Anyone know what was the red flag for you? That was a very
Not feeling guilty.
yeah, not feeling any guilt or remorse. Very hallmark sign of someone who we would informally call a sociopath or a psychopath. Antisocial personality disorder is the technical name. We'll talk about that later. So obviously we could say that there are other things going on, but that no guilt, no remorse, big red flag. So Andrew was like the one concrete one on here. And then if you're somebody who likes a clear answer, you'll be mad at me for the other 3. So let's vote on Barbara. Barbara's my favorite to talk about. Let's vote on Barbara. I used to make people raise their hand. This is much safer. All right, interesting. We have flipped, except for one. So why do we think it doesn't have a disorder? Any thoughts on Barbara? Yeah.
She's feeling this way because all these things like just happened to her, but
Okay.
we were trying to like think a little better. Like it sounds like depression, but it's only been a short time. Like she will probably like end up happier with her life over time. So
Okay.
it's just a little.
Okay, great. Yeah.
A lot of these symptoms sound like PMS.
Yeah.
And so it's a little different than PMDD
Okay.
in the way of the severity and the duration,
Mhm.
so this would be more to be expected.
Yeah, and PMS is something a lot of women experience, very typical. A lot of women will go through that. I remember as a kid, my dad told us, it's like your mom won't be herself for 1 week out of the month. And I remember as a kid being like, what does that mean? Like, I was so nervous. My mom was going to change into something like every month, right? And then I remember looking at my dad and being like, oh, I get it, right? Like, a lot of women experience PMS. You mentioned PMDD, premenstrual dysphoric disorder. For some women, PMS can be so severe that we can actually qualify it as something that would require treatment. But for the most part, these are pretty common symptoms that a lot of women do experience, right? I would lean toward men, but I think you can make a case that maybe it's bordering on a little more severe. It's hard to say, right? We only have a paragraph. I'm like, I want more, right? Let's go to the next one. Let's go with Diane. I think this one is probably a little bit more up for debate. We'll see what you think. Diane, has a disorder, doesn't have a disorder? So curious. What's it going to be? A little more variety here, right? So 9 people say yes, 24 say no. Thoughts on her? Yeah, go back there. Yeah. Sure. Yeah.
It's a very normal reaction. And she could end up getting over it. I do feel like she could be in a depressive episode, and it's not a full psychological disorder because I do feel like she could overcome it since she had no history of depression or
Okay, great. And yeah, I mean, her whole life, right, has just changed. Like, what would you expect somebody to do? And I think that's an important question to ask. Like, what would be typical if you went through that? And I feel like this is typical. Yeah.
I think the one thing that would make me lean towards it being that it is a psychological disorder.
Sure.
That is the duration that it's been.
Yeah.
It has been a series of, I think it's said 3 or 4 months.
Okay.
As well, of course, I couldn't expect her just to be through her entire life being flipped upside down.
Sure.
For a few months. I think that if it continues with this severity for much longer, then it will cause lasting harm and can lead to some lasting habits.
Okay.
And that could definitely be a psychological issue.
Yeah, good points, right? It could continue, right? And it could become that, or it could get better, like you were saying. Yeah.
So this is something that's happening. Like, but I feel like, you know, that maybe not, but I feel like it could require a therapy to
Sure.
maybe help you get through that and navigate it. But because it seems like she's at a very like low mental, what am I trying to say? Like, it's just very low.
Sure.
So I would say therapy, maybe depression. I searched that one said situational depression.
Yeah.
So maybe short. Can I agree with that? Would say?
Okay. Right. Yeah. I mean, this is hard. I mean, and you can definitely be depressed for a short period of time because of a situation, or it could persist and get worse. There was another hand back there. Yeah.
It would sound
Sure.
just happened where she just something dodgy in life and has a mood and
Yeah.
it makes sense for her to be feeling this way for at least a little bit.
Yeah. When bad things happen to us, it's normal to react to them, right? And to be depressed because somebody leaves you and cheats on you and all these things happen, right? That's normal, right? Yeah. Yeah. Right. And again, we all go through that, like even smaller things than this can cause us to have that reaction. You mentioned the last one. Let's vote on Eric. I think Eric has a similar thread, but I don't know, maybe a little different. We'll see. Let's see what you think about Eric. Last one. Okay, interesting. Kind of reversed a little bit. So a lot more people thinking that he has a disorder. What tipped you over? Again, they have kind of a similar thing going on. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So the drugs, what happened, like all of those things, maybe PTSD, other thoughts for him? Yeah, we'll go here and then over here. Yeah.
I said that he doesn't have a psych disorder because he just needs to go to like the civilian version of like Wounded Warrior Project and learn to do about
Okay. Okay.
It's like, dude, the dudes who get their leg blown off by IEDs, like, figure out something new to do with your life,
Okay.
you know?
Okay. So for you, no, right? That it's just going to be a period of maybe
It's a very
adjustment.
retrain.
Okay. How about for you? Yeah. 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 That for me is my red flag, right? That last like sentence or two that he was deciding he'd like to end it all. Like it makes me a little more concerned than I am about Diane, right? I don't know, like it gives me another level of severity, maybe. Yeah.
Part of your life kind of changes, like whether it's getting your legs blown off or anything that changes with the way you look makes you feel discomfort.
Sure.
And so I think that even the fact that he got to the point of wanting to commit suicide, I think anyone in the state of wanting to commit suicide has something wrong with what's going on in their brain.
Mhm.
So I think that there was a psychological disorder
Okay.
there, and I don't think that just finding a new hobby is gonna fix the fact that half your body's gone.
Yeah. I might distract a little bit, right? Which can be helpful, but not fix. Yeah.
So just sit there,
Sure.
and your legs.
I had a client years and years ago who lost a leg, one leg due to cancer, and he was heavily suicidal. And I mean, it was hard to blame him. Like if you lost a leg or both legs, would you think about it? Maybe that would be pretty normal. I would say it'd be pretty normal to be like, my life is completely different. Is it worth living? To at least consider that or entertain that thought, but to make a plan, right? Or to say, I want to end it all. Right. And those are tricky, blurry lines. It's never super obvious when it comes to this stuff. That's kind of the point. Yeah.
Like Diane's life when improved from him. She was
Sure.
really happy with it. Eric's like his legs are, you can't use them. Like it's not gonna change. Like it's just the way it is forever. So like
Mhm.
it makes sense. Like he probably won't be on it anytime from here eventually. Like there's really
Okay.
nothing he can do.
Yeah. I mean, he can learn to live in a different way and learn to like do things differently. But yeah, there's a different sense of permanence, I think, in a way. Not that there isn't a permanence with Diane, but a different level of severity, maybe. Yeah.
I think the fact that, you know, he has to learn how to have a new lifestyle
Yeah.
and like cope with everything. I think that is like why like that kind of marks that he does, because if he's wanting to, you know, kill himself because he doesn't feel like it's worth it anymore, then I don't know, I feel like that's a really big red flag.
Yeah, right. And it's tricky. I get my point with all of these. And I love, thank you so much for all the comments and the thought. I love it. It makes me really happy. It's very rarely black and white, right? And so we tend to think like people have a mental illness or they don't, right? And you can see it, right? Sometimes you can, and sometimes you can't. Sometimes mental illnesses are severe. Sometimes they're really mild. They exist on a continuum, right? And so sometimes people suffer on a very like mild way and others it's profound, right? So as we go through this semester, just be thinking about that, right? That it isn't always obvious what's abnormal versus normal, what's disordered versus not disordered. Where do we draw the line between being odd and being disordered? Being like sad versus being depressed, right? Being nervous versus having an anxiety disorder. It's blurry, right? And the American Psychiatric Association or Psychological Association has this quote, right, that I have up here about when we decide when something is a disorder or not. And even that is blurry, right? And so typically when things cause someone significant distress and impairment, when they're affecting their life, when they're getting at these Ds, we start to lean toward a disorder, but even then it can be up to the clinician. You know, a person could go to see 5 different therapists and get 5 different diagnoses. That happens, right? So it's not always so black and white. And so if you're frustrated because you want an answer, I'm sorry, right? There really isn't one for most of these. Andrew, I would lean toward yes, but the rest, I think we could easily argue either way. So what we'll do next time is we'll start looking at some of the ancient views of how we view things. We'll talk about exorcisms and trepanations and all sorts of things like that. I want to take attendance really quickly. And then we'll call it a day. Remember that we don't have class on Monday. I wrote that up here. Probably don't need a reminder, but I'll remind you anyway. It's happy and sad, right? We get a break, but it's sad. So I'll give you a second here and then we'll take attendance. And again, please continue to correct me if I mispronounce your name or check in with me if you're not on here. And don't forget to Turning your. Second, if you want to pack up, and then I can. Great, thank you.